Black Steel. Shoot the Breeze topic number one this week. Shoot the Breeze topic number one is going to be why not more audios like this, honestly. And this takes us to a link that's going to take us to Twitter, I believe. Maybe not. Wait, am I in the right place? Ooh, I hate when I have these issues. Give me
It
one
happens to the
second.
best of us.
I know. I do hate it though. I thought I had this teed up already. Hold on. I think I did, and I ended up scrolling away from it before the show started. Okay, so this takes us to Twitter. We're going to play the audio, and then we'll discuss it. It's pretty short. I might play it twice, and then we'll discuss it.
But father, who are the Negroes who have the flag of their oppressor in their bios? Son, these are the Negroes who feel that since they gave so much to the oppressor's project, the colonial project over the years, that they should be afforded some measure of inclusion in the death and destruction that they have wreaked all over the planet. Oh, interesting, father. And also, who are the Negroes who have Indian feathers and eagles and bows and arrows in their profile names? Son, these are the Negroes, so broken, so ashamed of their past, their great glorious past that spans several millennia beyond this short-lived country, that they would steal the names, culture, and valor of another group who was oppressed by the same demons that oppressed them. That doesn't make sense, father. You have to dig deeply into the psyche of the oppressed, son. You must understand these are broken people. But what can we do to help them? We can do nothing. We will do nothing. They must help themselves.
Okay, that's an interesting piece. I'm gonna play it one more time though. Shout out to who did I see out there in the chat? Shout out to Jose, who's out there in the chat. I'm playing again one more time. Like I said, it's pretty short as you can see, and then I'll introduce the other panelists and we'll discuss it.
But father, who are the Negroes who have the flag of their oppressor in their bios? Son, these are the Negroes who feel that since they gave so much to the oppressor's project, the colonial project over the years, that they should be afforded some measure of inclusion in the death and destruction that they have wreaked all over the planet. Oh, interesting, father. And also, who are the Negroes who have Indian feathers and eagles and bows and arrows in their profile names? Son, these are the Negroes, so broken, so ashamed of their past, their great glorious past that spans several millennia beyond this short-lived country, that they would steal the names, culture, and valor of another group who was oppressed by the same demons that oppressed them. That doesn't make sense, father. You have to dig deeply into the psyche of the oppressed, son. You must understand these are broken people. But what can we do to help them? We can do nothing. We will do nothing. They must help themselves.
We can do nothing. They must help themselves. Let me see if this was a thread. No, it wasn't. This is a tweet from Rap Noir, so that's interesting. Trigger Happy 262 in the chat says, "LOL, this is good." I like it too. Should be topic number one says, "Why not more audios like this?" Honestly, before we get into that discussion, though, let's welcome in Buana this week. Buana, how are you?
I'm good, bro. I'm just flowing with y'all, so we write on message, you here. I'm good. I'm good. How are you? You good?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks for
brother.
coming.
Yes.
Yes, sir. With that said, let me go to Black Steel. Black Steel, what say you to what you just heard? Why not more audios like this, honestly?
Well, I think that was very good audio. I think it really puts the pretendians and the ADOS in proper perspective. Uh, Honestly, I think these two groups we talk about, they're very small. They don't make it they're very small, but they're very loud. So they make a lot of noise in online spaces. So I think you're not going to see as many audios because most I would say most African Americans at least would look at these pretendians and they'd laugh at them because they don't really have a connection, a real connection to anything about indigenous people's culture. They walk around with feathers in their hair like every Native American tribe had feathers. They didn't. They just take what they take an amalgamation of different Native American tribes and just throw it together. And it's almost like, if you ever go to Comic Con, you see people dressed up as different super. It's really just cosplay. And they can be ignored. But I know they're very loud and they're starting to become not starting, but they're very loud and very boisterous. But they can't really stand up to any scrutiny. No real academic takes them seriously. Uh, so they're really just a source of mockery, if I'm being honest with you. Same thing with the ADOS. ADOS has existed in some form for a long time. Many Black people wishing to, instead of challenging or opposing systems of white domination, they feel like, hey, we put in the work, let's benefit. It's just integration taken to its next obvious step. Where you're not opposing um, to that assimilation, you just really just want to go as far as it can. So you just wave. They're proud to be American, no matter what atrocities America commits overseas. And truth be told, Black people, African Americans, have always, by and large, resisted U.S. imperialism and U.S. foreign intervention, U.S. policies. It's hard to remember, but during the Iran hostage conference back in the 1970s, the Iranians, when they took the hostages, they let all the Black people go because they understood the Black people weren't their enemy, and Black people understood we don't really have no problem with we're oppressed too. So these type of conversations, I think they need to happen more, but they're really a very small population of people. We can look at these people, we can laugh at them, and they can go on their rants, and they show their Photoshop pictures and whatnot, but they really can be dismissed relatively easily. That's why we don't see more. But I think it's good. I think we should mock these people. We're African people, and we should embrace that. There's nothing to be ashamed of. We have such self-hatred from being African that we want to run away and be everything but African. We want to be Martians. We want to be Native Americans. We want to be, whatever else you can be but African. And that just really just goes to show that we have to take pride um, in our culture and where we come from, and our brothers and sisters all across the diaspora. We should embrace them and not seek to be something else and try to escape from what we really are. It's really mental illness, if you ask me, but I'll leave it there. Thank you, Coco.
Appreciate you, Black Steel, for that. Yeah, I really liked your response. I posted a community tab post, I believe it was, saying that our enslavement, the Ma'afa, is like on page 1,000. You know what I mean? Like we had 99 pages of like rich history, but we only focus on like that one page. That page starting at page number 1,000. That's kind of wild to me that we do that. Is that recency bias that we tend to exhibit a lot. In the chat, Azuliism, of course, says we are the native. Later, he says we are the original Americans. You guys know I don't agree with that, but so be it. Trigger earlier said this is good, and I agree with him. We need, as he says here, it's good to have these types of creatives to have commentary and a sort of mirror reflection within art of some of our extreme assimilationist elements. Speaking of that, I have something cooking for 2024. I'm going to really talk about it around summertime, but I'm doing something with some creatives that I think can move the needle a little bit. Anthony McPhail says the Pretendians only know one tribe, Cherokees. He says Cherokees, and they don't speak Cherokee. Harsh Reality Podcast says, I still wonder why they're always coming at Africans and completely ignoring those $5 Indians on the reservations. Yeah, they don't push back. When these Indians, these Native Americans come and tell them, yo, keep our names out your mouth and all those sorts of things. And these folks never say anything. Trigger Happy 262 Plus says FB and ADOS is a minority because they are extreme assimilationists, but they are only an expression, an extension of the oxymoronic identity of a quote unquote Black American. New African is the best trajectory. Bakari's out there telling Anthony he could join. Yeah, Anthony knows he could join. I don't know how come Anthony hasn't joined the panel here, but he has joined Forecast and has been real good on there too. There goes Marcus Garvey is the way. The sister says, "Good night, brethren. Thank you for coming through. Good to see your sister here." I don't know why it is we don't have more women involved here. I have my suspicions, but okay. Jose says Elon Musk seems to love them. I got banned from X while humiliating some of them. Is that right? Okay. With that said, let's go to Buana. Buana, what's it?
Yeah. So, so the question is asked: Why no? Why not more audios like this? Well, the answer to that is a simple one. A landowner gets to decide who he allows on his property and who he does not allow on his property. This is, I think, this is Twitter. The person who owns this is Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a boar from South Africa. I think Elon Musk's parents was a part of an apartheid situation. Why would a person who parents used to be in apartheid want people with this kind of information on his platform? No, he want to be able to give the appearance of liberality. Like everyone could join and be on my platform. But he is smart and intelligent enough to know that we don't want too much of this. We want just as little of this as possible, but we want a bunch of this. So this is the reason why platforms such as this and platforms like Twitter and things like that nature, it seems like people with the different kind of perspective, this whole we was Indians and we never came from Africa perspective, this is the reason why we see so many of them on these platforms. It's like they get the most views, the most clicks, because it's only creating confusion. And it goes along the lines of the people who don't want the other kind of information they get out there. This is the reason why stations like this sometimes are shadow banned, because the owner gets to decide what he allows up on his platform and who he allows not to come up on his platform. And I feel like that until we are the owners of some of these platforms, like my brother in Ghana right now, with a BB Toomey, his own platform and such, he gets to put as many Cambon, as many people as he wants to with audios like this on his platform all the time. So the owner gets to decide. So until we become the owners of these kinds of infrastructure, electronic infrastructure, then you will see the balance. But until then, you will see very little of this and a whole lot of the other thing, a whole lot of the ignorancies, unfortunately. But that's the answer to that question. But I'll leave it there.
Appreciate that. Just a reminder, I have a poll up. Should we have a longer live stream next week, considering it's their holiday weekend? You guys seem to be leaning towards yes, but we'll see. We'll see at the end when I end the poll what's it gonna be. Let's welcome in Pooh. Is it Pooh from Glen Ides? Because I can't see the whole name. Let's welcome in Pooh. Pooh, how are you this week?
It's Pooh from Glen Island.
Glen Island, right? Glen Island. Okay. Pooh, how are you this week?
What's going on, man? What's going on, everybody?
Good, good. Thanks for coming through.
It says, you do know who this is, right? They say it's not it says not a lot. But I agree with what Bawana said about whoever on the platform. They won't let you. You got to deal with their rules, right?
Right.
So they want that nonsense because they want black people to be divided. But like when Black Steel said something about they just amalgamated a lot of different Native American tribes with the feathers in their head because all of them didn't wear feathers. Actually, what they did was, man, they got their costumes from TV, from the cowboy Indian. Because you watch TV, all of them had feathers. I didn't know if they all wore feathers or not, but you say they didn't. I would go with that, But it's very few of those people. But I take that back. It's more than I once thought. It's actually becoming a lot of these so-called ADOS, FBA. It's becoming, you're starting to see a lot of them out here, and with them being out here doing what they do, it is, what can I say? It can be harmful to what we want to do. And because I remember I was at the Malcolm X Festival, right? Oh, it's the lady over there. She's buying all this African shit, but then turn around and tell you, oh, we Native American. I'm like, why are you buying all that Anka stuff? See, all that come from here. See, you ever heard of Dane Calloway? We the real Choctaws. I'm like, man, I don't even know what a Choctaw is. Then somebody, but Choctaw is the language. I'm like, okay, but that has nothing to say. Can you speak Choctaw? No. I like, I don't know who or what a Choctaw is, but they are out here and their job is being done. They're doing their job well. Whatever they're getting from doing their job, they're doing their job. They're doing their job right. Because whoever telling them to come and do these things and follow people like YVET, oh man, I said a name. Follow people like that and follow people like the guy that started so-called FBA. They're doing their job well. And what they're doing is absolutely keeping us divided, they're constantly keeping us fighting with one another over foolishness is what they're doing. They have us arguing and fighting over a bunch of foolishness, and they like to come. And that's why I said earlier when I was doing my live, like, I really don't even watch. This is why I truly don't watch a lot of YouTube channels anymore, because it is like they're nerve-wracking. But if we create our own, we can have more stuff like that. If we want stuff like that, we can have more stuff like that if we created our own. On that, I get it, Mike.
Hold on, Bakar. You said Choctaw. Did she mean Choctaw?
I don't know what she said, Choctaw.
They can't even get the names right. It's so embarrassing.
I don't. I'm a man. Look, she said Choctaw.
Oh boy. The problem with this stuff is that it eventually starts to leak on into the real world. I forget what it was I was commenting on Twitter itself, and I'm like, yeah, you see this stuff, and I believe it had something to do with the FBA types too, attacking someone, I believe. It starts to leak offline. You'll be surprised. You go for that bank loan or something, and you think, hey, I have a black person who, an African who is the loan specialist, but meanwhile they're on the internet heavy behind this pretending stuff. You got to be, and you walk in there with a little Caribbean accent or something. You never know, so you have to be careful. This is why we do have to kind of thwart some of these things that we see online as much as we can.
And let me say this right quick. Like the one when they say the feathers, it's a guy on YouTube. His name is Top Cats. This dude literally wears a baseball cap with feathers in it. He got a baseball cap and he said that's what the Chiefs wore. The Chiefs wore feathers in their headdress. He got a baseball hat with feathers.
Oh boy, the insanity,
man. Not only that, Brother Bakari. He is big Sanetta. See, the problem I have, right, is the people who call themselves conscious is give these brothers platforms where you have access to thousands of people and they draw these guys in. And I'm watching this and I'm saying, why would Sanetta have people with at least a little bit of intelligence on this platform? But why would you confuse your audience with having this wild person on with his wild Jewish theories, this person on with his wild Indian theories, and then you mix that in with African consciousness? How you expect people to be able to differentiate from one to another? But I understand he doing it to pay his rent. But you confusing your audience who you trying to say you trying to educate. You can't do that. But needless to say, I'll leave it. I'll leave it.
Juana brought up something earlier in the discussion where he mentioned a BB Toomey, and I put this comment up on the screen from Trigger Happy 262 Plus. He says the next stage has to be getting a BB Toomey to be set on a national stage, and I agree with that. The problem with those things is, I mean, there's no innate problem with that idea. The problem is it takes funding, man, and we don't tend to fund a lot of the things that we really need to fund. You know, we don't fund HBCUs. We don't fund the playgrounds in our neighborhoods. Oftentimes, we don't fund African-centered education most times, and it's a big problem. I'll leave it at that. It's a big problem. I see Azuli's out there arguing his Native American thing. He said oppressor told us we were African. I don't think the oppressor had any say in that.
I'm sorry, isn't he Haitian?
Yeah.
So
the oppressor told him he was Haitian too, I guess.
I'm pretty sure Haitians have a stronger connection to Africa than most Black people in diaspora. I'm pretty sure. I mean, seeing as how I don't know.
I don't even run over the nonsense
I feel
because
like you fucking with us, man.
yeah, because Zuli knows when Desalegn write the Constitution, he ain't mentioned Indian once. He never mentioned Indian once in the Constitution that he created, coming from out of the situation he came from. Why is that? Why he ain't never say, "Well, we was natives and we was already here," and he in the 1800s, and so why wouldn't he say that? Write the 1804 Constitution. Why would he ever suggest that we was the original people of this land? Not once in his constitution for African Black people. Come on, man. I don't get him mad at his Willie no more. I figure that he is listening to Dan Calloway and a lot of YouTube, so I can't get mad at the man. You know what I mean? He is where he is. Hopefully, you know what I mean, he'll develop some inspiration later on.
But Dan Calloway, Dan Calloway is it's almost comical, some of the stuff he puts up. It really is quite comical. And the dude, like, he used to be a rapper, and then he came across all of this information. It was just crazy to me. That is true. He named the country Haiti because, according to Dessalines, they avenged the Taino. That was part of his thing. He said he avenged America. That's why there's that book called The Avengers of the New World, because they knew what the Spanish and the Europeans had done to them. So in honor of those people, they renamed the country Haiti, which was the name of the indigenous people had given the island. But he never claimed that we were those people. That's why he said we avenged America. Those people were killed. We killed the people who killed them. There go. We avenged them. You know, I don't know where we get from honoring them to now we become them. I don't know.
Yeah, Black Steel is completely correct. It was an honorary. It was an honorary to go back to the name that the indigenous people had for that place. So, yeah. Is there any last thoughts on this prompt here?
One more thing I want to say. I just want to say there's so much evidence to connect us to Africa, between language, between culture. If you look at, you got Obia in Jamaica, you have Santeria, you have, Vodun, you have, in America, they call it roots. All of these things can be traced directly back to Africa. The foods, the language. There's so many connections. Like I said, my father is Gullah Geechee, and there's so many connections to Africa that you really have to skip over a lot of history. You really gotta. That's what the pseudo people. That's why we laugh at them. Just like the people who believe in the flat Earth. You really gotta skip over a lot of shit to believe the Earth is still flat. You really gotta ignore a lot of stuff. And that's why they're made a mockery of, and that's why they're deservedly so. There's a lot of stuff you got to overlook. Just nothing wrong with being African. Love your people, love your mother continent, and let's work to get her free.
Amen. Absolutely. Amen, Ra. I think Ozuli believes the earth is flat too, by the way. Should the reach topic number 2 tonight. Thanks for all the comments.
Shut the fuck up. No.
No, seriously, I think he believes the earth is flat. At one time, I could remember him talking about that. So, yeah. A lot of good comments out there in the chat. You guys, if you listen to the playback, make sure to check out the chat comments. Pretty good stuff. Trigger Happy 262, Partially Podcast, Arzuli, and others. Oh, and shout out to the Forecast. He's out there. He says, "What's up?" So shout out to Forecast. Make sure to subscribe and check out his shows. Forecast is active, man. Forecast is on 3-4 times a week. You guys make sure to check out the Forecast.